Okay, hey everybody, I think we're live. I'm here with Rob Reuter. Dave Ribble just disappeared, and Alex has yet to walk in. Okay, now we're live. It's a little unclear whether we were live 15 seconds ago or if we just now started live. Hello everybody, welcome to the November 22nd, 2024 edition of, well, we don't even have a name for this yet, the Spokane Small Business and Entrepreneur Friday afternoon networking meeting. Here with me is Rob Reuter. Dave Ribble is making his way to his seat. And we are here to talk about business.
Am I in the frame?
You're not in the frame yet. Keep talking.
I'm not in the frame yet. Hello?
There you are. Now you are.
Am I okay? Am I going to move left or right?
Nope, you're perfect. You're
Okay.
perfect right where you are.
Hi, everybody.
So I think largely we all agree we want this to be an interactive space. One of the things that we enjoy doing as individuals is interacting, collaborating, connecting, and communicating, as Dave Ribble is fond to say. Alex is joining us.
Alex is in the house.
Alex, we're live on Facebook land. Why don't you sit there, yeah, so that we're close enough to the camera.
We're going to just keep it on you the whole time.
So at the jump, I want to encourage, please write comments, jump in and ask questions. We'll try to keep an eye on the feed and respond to those accordingly. But guys, welcome in.
All right. Thanks, John.
Yeah,
Good to be here.
yeah. It's a nice rainy, very wet today.
Yeah, welcome to the bomb cyclone.
Yeah, it is.
You ran into this over on the other side, didn't you? Or-
It's
or
always
a little
wet
bit
on the
early.
other side, I think.
A little bit early.
Yeah, Alex, you're sporting the WSU gear.
As always.
As
Watched
always.
the game yesterday at the stadium. It was
Awesome.
fantastic. They won. Go
Excellent.
Cougs.
Excellent. Go Cougs. All right. Any Cougs fans out there? Chime in. So what's new, fellas? What's going on this week?
You know what? It's getting close to Thanksgiving, and it's always interesting at Gonzaga University because Thanksgiving week is supposed to be holiday starts on Wednesday, and you know what all the students always want to know?
What do they want to know?
Are we going to have anything important on Tuesday?
Yeah. I want to get out of here.
One of my students came up to me and just says, Professor Reuter, I'm really sorry. My mom made the flight. I'm going to be out of the country. I'm going, I know. I have, in 10 years of teaching there, I have never planned to have anything important to say on Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Not going to happen.
There you go. You heard it here, folks. If you're attending one of Rob's classes, you can plan on skipping the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. So speaking of Thanksgiving, Dave, you were sharing with me, you have a really cool tradition that you and your wife do.
Yeah, we it's a kind of a mixed family, so my kids and their in-laws and all of that. And when Kay and I first got together, we decided that we would just tell the kids, look, go to your in-laws, don't worry about us, just don't worry about us. So we started some traditions of our own, and one of them is that we would pick some sort of something that we wanted to do. We either wanted to binge watch a bunch of TV shows and movies, or we wanted to go out and go to a movie, or we wanted to do whatever it was. And the other thing that we did was we set it up so that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday was dedicated to just us. And it was just to learn something or watch something and take a break and watch something else, but just totally immerse ourselves in whatever it is we wanted to do. And the first Thanksgiving we did that, she said, what do you want to do? And I said, you know the movie The Secret? Remember The Secret? You ever watch The Secret? And so what we did in watching The Secret was I said, I want to take the remote control and sit on the couch with coffee and a cinnamon roll or whatever. But I want to dissect this movie, dissect everything that all of these very, very astute gurus in personal development knew, and I want to dissect it. I've watched it once, but I really, really want to dissect it. So the rules were that whoever had the controller, you could stop it, you could start it, you could run it back, you could say, wait a minute, let's talk about that. Let's, go get something else to eat or whatever and come back. But for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, that's what we dedicated to. I thoroughly dissected it. So we've done something like that every year. And I highly recommend that you take some time like that, because we don't normally do that. We say, I've got work to do. I've got these responsibilities over here. But for an entire year, I took 4 days just to try to get into this thick skull of mine and understand new stuff. Kind of a tradition now.
Love it.
The other tradition that I started when the kids were really little was I was really, really tired of seeing everybody just sit around after the big meal. My kids were watching cartoons and doing stuff, and my in-laws at the time, God bless them, they were already rehashing stuff that my wife at the time, and they knew that I didn't anyway. They were talking about things that not relevant to me at all.
Yeah.
And it was back in the day when we all had yellow pages, the yellow page book. I went to a bowling alley page, and I called the guy up and I said, "Are you busy today?" Because it's like 3 p.m. And he said, "Well, I'll tell you what, Dave." He says, "If you come down here, there'll be 2 of us." So I went around to the family and I said, "Bus leaves in 5 minutes. I'm going bowling."
Nice.
And they all looked at me like, well, that confirms it. He is crazy. But we all piled into a couple of cars and we drove down to the bowling alley. The kids had the entire run of the place. There was no one else there. And that is a 45-year tradition.
Wow. Nice.
Because my kids still do it for their kids.
Awesome. Awesome. Makes me want to go bowling this week.
Yeah, do it.
Very
Because you
good.
can work off, whatever food you have and
Yeah. Yeah.
all of that. It was cool.
Well, that's
Either
it.
that or go to Alex's, because Alex is a really good cook, and I'm thinking about trying to crash the party over at his house.
I love it. I love it. Well, and I want to segue. I want to ask what you guys are all doing for Thanksgiving. And actually, it's a good opportunity for me to pitch something else, but we'll get there in a minute. Before we segue to that, I think it's a good opportunity to highlight one of the topics that we're planning on talking about today is small business.
Yeah.
And it's kind of neat that you were going out and supporting a small business, small local business, on a day that's otherwise often reserved for maybe the more big box stores, the retailers.
And you're going to be talking about Pink Friday coming up, too.
Well, and that's very much on my mind. It's,
Okay.
Pink Friday, which is
Yeah.
today.
Yeah,
And so, we'll cover that in a minute. But Alex, what do you do for Thanksgiving?
Well, you were describing in, when your kids are coming to Thanksgiving, you're like, oh, go to your in-laws, and that's something that I always struggled with when I was, when I met my wife, before she was my wife and all that. We always had this tension because we had to basically pick a family to go to. But now that I have my own children, now it's all in my house. And so for Thanksgiving, I cook a big meal. Everybody's invited, my family, her family, and honestly, it's more of an open kind of a Thanksgiving to anybody that needs it. There was a time when I was younger that we couldn't afford to get a turkey and all of that, and so we went to a family that let us come in that we didn't really know, and I've kind of adopted that myself. And so anybody that it doesn't have a Thanksgiving or an opportunity to go to one, I always invite anybody to come to my place for some good food. And I cook myself. I love cooking. It's my favorite thing, and I'm open to criticism. So if anybody doesn't like something or could give me improvements, I want to hear it. So it's like my day to shine for the family. So I love Thanksgiving.
Fantastic. And I'm going to go ahead and post your address right now on the group. But would it be safe to assume that anybody that hears that and resonates with them, that they could reach out to you directly? Go join Alex. And is it on Thursday?
Yep.
On Thursday at Alex's house. What an invite. Wow.
Well, it's true.
That's
I wasn't
fantastic.
planning to send that out to everybody.
Didn't want to broadcast it. Your
But
wife's going to be
it's-
waiting for you when you get home.
But it is true. Anybody that's in need, I do care about that dearly. So,
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Way to go. Rob, what do you do for Thanksgiving?
Well, we're at a point in my family with my sister and brother-in-law and my parents and I that we try to go as labor-free as possible.
Yeah.
So usually that means we're going to go to a buffet,
Nice.
and we're just going to do that. Now, this year, what's interesting is actually going to happen tomorrow. My family is getting together because my parents just turned 80, and we have cousins in the area that also their mother is now in her 80s, and we're having a family gathering, first time in a long time, and we're going to be cooking all of the family favorite recipes from my Ukrainian roots and things. So we're going to be having baraniki, we're going to have borscht, we're going to have all the traditional favorites, plus throw in a German chocolate cake for birthday celebrations. So.
Very nice. Very nice.
I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, I know. Well, this is a good time of year for that. Like, it's just heavy, cooler, wet atmosphere. It just makes you feel like I just want to sleep in, eat some real soul food, just stick to your ribs kind of food,
Yeah.
and not do anything for a couple
Well,
of weeks.
then you should talk about your big event.
Yeah.
Coming up.
So if you're going to go to Alex's house on Thursday, come to my house on Wednesday. We're basically doing the same thing. My wife and I have her family is in town, so on Thursday we do family and all that. But we love also bringing in people that are don't have somewhere to celebrate, or that do have somewhere to celebrate but want to double down and get it. So at our house on Wednesday, it's kind of a buffet. Like potluck style.
Right.
Everybody brings their favorite dish, and we just enjoy being together.
It's always a fun time at your house. You are such welcoming people, you and Melissa, and gosh, we always appreciate all you guys do and make it possible for us to come out and say hi.
Well, thanks, Dave. Yeah, and we would love to have you guys. We'd love to have the audience there. We'll probably I'll post the link to it. I won't post your address unless you want me to. But yeah, if you're not doing anything next Wednesday, come to our place. Thursday, go to Alex's. And who's up for Friday?
You're starting yours out at 3 or something?
3 o'clock.
Yeah.
3 o'clock on Thursday, or on Wednesday will be ours. So yeah, that'll be a good time. So yeah, let's talk about this Pink Friday. It's kind of a new concept. I saw it sprinkled around the web today, and today is Pink Friday. The idea being, Small Business Saturday wasn't as big of a success as it could have been because everybody goes out on Black Friday, spends all their money on the big box stores and all that stuff, and then there's not much left over for small businesses on Saturday, even Monday being the Cyber Monday.
Cyber Monday. That's interesting. I heard briefly just this mention about Pink Friday, and I was going, well, yeah, it's a nice emphasis, but I didn't quite understand that it was the whole week before. So too bad we didn't have this last week and could be saying, hey, did you get out this week? But it is a good point that to support small businesses, people that are working personally to create products that are interesting and valuable, and give them that spotlight where we can.
It's interesting. Somebody did a whole survey, and there's information that you can gather about how much of the dollar actually stays in the immediate community, rather than going to Costco or one of the big box stores and stuff. But there is a certain percentage that absolutely comes back to the local budget for running the town and doing all that.
Well, that's an interesting point, because it's always been my contention that investing your dollars in small business is so much more valuable, because a big box store, a big corporation, when times get tough, they drop headcount. They actually, they see it as an expense. Okay, we're just going to lay off a bunch of people. A small business owner is earning their livelihood. That is their budget for the year.
Sure.
And so if you're buying from small businesses, what you're doing is keeping that money going into the other activities around your community, because They don't get to just say, "Oh, I'm too expensive. I'm going to cut my salary." They have to go, "I have to work harder
Yeah.
to keep the economy going." So I think this Pink Friday emphasis is really critical for us to. And the good news is, through the pandemic and coming out of it, the number of small businesses is all-time high. New registrations for small business being placed across the U.S. is never been more businesses out there.
That's good news.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Almost societally, we at one point, at some point, small business was all there was. There wasn't the idea of a big box store. There, none of, and there were problems and pain points with that innovative people remedied and created. I think about when I think big box stores. You mentioned Costco, Home Depot, and Lowe's, where you can take this mass production and offer something of value, and that led to maybe the choking out of opportunity. But it also seems to have created problems that now the innovation is the small business, the niche idea. And I think one of the things I struggle with around this topic is that sometimes this, Pink Friday, support local, I'm all for the concept of it. And at the same time, as a consumer myself, it feels like the small business owner that is being represented, and it's perhaps a straw man argument, but that small business owner, rather than innovating and coming up with something that's going to attract me in as a customer, they're creating this like, oh no, they demonize the big box store, and there's almost this whiny feel to it. And it's not that the small business owner is necessarily the one that's being whiny, but somebody somewhere is saying like, oh no, we have to I as a consumer have to sacrifice convenience, budgetary concerns, all in the name of saving this ideal. And I think that I love that it seems like there's this innovation of like, hey, you can be a small business owner and operate in such a way that you provide a quality experience to your end user.
That's the important point.
Yeah.
That's where small businesses, I think, really need to be playing up against the large, So
Keep going here, because you're onto it.
Peter Drucker made a point in the 1960s. He said, look, efficiency is about doing things right, but effectiveness is about doing the right things. And our challenge has been, as companies scale, they go for efficiency,
Yes.
which means they're cutting the personal communication. They're cutting the interaction with people
Yep.
in the effort to have scale. The value of a small business, and I'm sure many of us are getting frustrated, self-checkouts, things that take away people interactions and put it into just digital economy. But a small business owner has access to the digital economy and the ability to personalize that transaction
And experience.
and things, and they can share their knowledge, their values, and everything that's important, and it makes it more personal.
Yeah.
So
Alex, I'm going to call you out. What are your thoughts on all this?
Well, at first I didn't understand what Pink Friday was until I think I got the grasp now. But much like what you were saying, I struggled with that too, because I'm a new business owner, and I didn't appreciate the value of having small businesses and supporting them like I do now. It was ignorant before, and I get that, but I was more about the convenience and saving money and all of that. And again, starting my own business now, I'm just like, it was a big eye opener for me as to why and how important it is, because it's all relational. And I've always wanted to, good relationships with people, but now I just have a different perspective about it with business ownership. And so I do try to support any of the small businesses around, because we're all trying to fight the same fight. We're all trying to, make a living and keep that money in the local area. I love Spokane. I grew up here, and I don't ever want to change that. And so is any way I can support those places, I'm going to. So I do a lot of volunteering as well.
Love it. So I think you touched on this a little bit, and I know we've talked about this, and I think one of the biggest reasons that we're even here is we want to support and build up the community of small business owners. It's in our name, so Spokane Small Business and Entrepreneurs, right? So what are some things that occur to you, or that maybe either across the spectrum or even specifically to certain business owners, how can a small business owner in any market, but particularly in our market, how can they stand out? And I'm looking at you, Dave Ribble, because you talk about standout mastery. How can a small business owner stand out in a crowded, noisy marketplace where there is the convenience of Costco? There is, Alex with bookkeeping. There's all kinds of software and things like that are big box. How does a small business owner articulate their value in terms of what they offer to the clientele that would potentially utilize them? Talk to us about that.
Well, everybody's going to jump in on this because they all have very good ideas too. The key word you just said, though, John, was the word value. And I hear, and all of us hear, remarks being made about big box stores not having any kind of personality, relationship kind of things. That's where a small business can shine all day long.
Sure.
But there are tricky little things that they could do. They could send out individual thank you cards after somebody comes in. They could have running specials on different products that they're making available for only for an elite group of people who became their customer member program, something that they created a club for. There's a lot of personal things that you can just stack one on top of another, and pretty soon you get to a point where you are known not necessarily just for the product that you sell, but the way you take care of people when they come in.
Create an experience.
I went to a restaurant when the kids were little, and the reason I went to this particular restaurant was because the manager came out the first time we were there, and he wanted to know the names of my 3 children. The man never forgot what those names were.
Wow.
And every time we walked into this particular restaurant, I waited because I wanted him to come out, and I wanted him to acknowledge my 3 kids.
Yeah.
Well, I got all the credit for it. Yeah, thanks so much for bringing us. You
know? Yeah.
And they got free ice cream or whatever it was at the end of the meal. But I thought, man, there's other Mexican restaurants in town.
Yeah.
Why do I go to this guy every time? Especially when the kids were with me.
Yeah. And
I think you can do.
I love that you talk about value, because I think that's a huge part of it. What else are things that either you've done in your own vernacular that you've seen people do, or that particularly that story resonates because that's an experience that you had? But what else can we do to add value?
I think for me the first thing that goes through my mind is about personalization. It's not just that they remember you, it's that they can create a log of what is important to you or things like that. So I think back to the days of Henry Ford, and somebody asking Henry Ford, well, can you get a Ford in a different color? And the apocryphal probably statement was, you can have it in any color you want as long as it's black. And that's the challenge, is that everything has to be regulated to a standard so that it can be replicated efficiently enough that they can lower the cost. So the value is being able to say, I can do it your way, and we just need to get together and understand what that is. You know?
Yeah.
And so that's really another value add, is to say, take what you do, and this is where systems become important. Structure your business in such a way that you can swap out things and not make a whole bunch more work for yourself, but give your customer the option. You can have it this way, we can customize it. It might maybe add some cost to it, but overall, we have to remember that they're trying to solve a problem. And as long as they're aware of how big of an issue it is and what impact it will have, you can likely negotiate and say, look, for this, I can solve this problem for you.
Can I tell you another story?
You can, but hold that thought for a
Yeah,
second. 'Cause a
okay.
couple things I want to do real quick. First of all, we do have a few people watching,
Oh,
and so
good.
I want to invite people that are watching, if you want to throw into the comments your business, we'll give a shout out live on the air right now, and that'll live on in the evergreen content.
Yeah.
Second of all, Alex, we're coming your way
Yes.
shortly. You're here at the table. You have a voice at this table, so I want you to be thinking about like this question of how do we add value. And I do have a thought that I want to riff off of Rob, but you jumped in first, so you go ahead, tell us your story.
Okay, really nice dress store. This is in California,
Yeah.
down the street from where we used to live. Sitting on a corner. During the week, not a whole lot of foot traffic down through there at all. It's on 2nd Avenue in Long Beach. So what the owner would do is the owner would put a profile together of every lady that came in. Ask a lot of questions about what, not only the sizes and colors and preferences and all that stuff, but here's what just blew me away. Normal business hours, 5 o'clock. Close it up at 5 o'clock. Okay? And what they would do is they would twice a year have private showings for certain people. So they would lock it up at 5 o'clock, they would get out the champagne and the wine, and they would do a show for these ladies who had been personally invited to come down and take a look at what the new lines were for the spring, or whatever.
Yeah,
Personalization.
I like it.
Personalization, that's what Rob was talking about.
I like it. So the thought, Rob, as you were talking about, just in a sense, and I think this is where potentially viewers at home might be feeling this, and I always feel this in certain situations like this, where you're talking about the restaurant owner that knew your kids' names and brought out ice cream, and like a lot of the things that you're talking about, for me, my personality, the way I live and operate, it's daunting to me. I'm like, I might as well just go get a regular job, because I'm not good at remembering kids' names. I'm not good at, thinking of extras. I get in my head about a lot of things. And so that's not necessarily what separates me. That's not where the expression, your vibe attracts your tribe, I think an encouragement that I would have to people out there that might be feeling that. They might hear what any one of us are sharing and be like, well, I can't do that, so I can't set myself apart. I can't bring value. It's like, no, you bring your value. You bring the value. What is it that you do that sets you apart? And you show up with that. And it's, I think we were talking before we got started with all of this, and Rob, you said something about me that I was like, okay, yeah, that's the space I occupy. And I wasn't even necessarily cognizant of it, but it made me feel like, oh yeah, okay, I do have a reason to be sitting here at this table. I do have value. Oh, okay, all right, I'm okay. So with that, Alex, what are your thoughts on value? How do you see this played out?
Well, again, I'm new to the business world, and so I'm learning, how to stand out. I'm actually a pupil of his program, and I've read his book, The Conscientious Connector, which is a fantastic read, by the way. But I like the books, and I'm not here to just promote Dave. While it's fantastic, but the book itself did resonate with me substantially, because I feel like I do have all of these kind of core values that are in there about my character as a person. And so when I think of adding value to my clients, my customers, people that are trying to attract business, and that to me it's about being your genuine self. Understanding that another person that's a business owner or someone that you're trying to develop a relationship with. It's not transactional. It's not just this. They're not just a checkbox like, oh, I talked to them, they're not interested, goodbye. It's not like that, and it shouldn't be like that because people have feelings and all of that. And so I think it's about being genuine, being yourself, being impeccable with what you say. When you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. And I'm a true believer in the idea of giving, get to give. You get or give to get. I mean, you give everything that you can. You want to support other people and help them. And if you go throughout your life with that kind of mentality, things will come back your way because people will remember you. They won't forget you. Much like the remembering kids' names, that's fantastic because that's a reason someone will remember you. So give a reason to be remembered. And if you're just a genuine, kind, nice person, you're going to establish that because people can sense when someone is fake or not being themselves. Or I feel like they can anyway. So be yourself. Here's what I say.
Love it. Awesome.
Good advice.
Welcome in.
Hello.
Hello. We are live on Facebook right now.
That's awesome.
As soon as you start talking, your square will appear. You haven't talked enough yet, I guess. But why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are and what your business name is and what you're here for.
Okay. My name is Chase. I'm with Associated Agents Group. I do personal and commercial lines insurance. Am I supposed to look at you guys or that thing?
Yes.
What's up? Yes.
Yes. Okay.
It's conversational
It's a
and
dialogue.
it kind of you can see how it focuses on you and it'll figure it out.
Try to hold still too because you're making me dizzy.
Oh, okay.
I'm kidding.
I have just too many fires going on back at the office. What was the other part of that?
What brings you in?
Oh, well, usually I am the guy that talks too much, so any opportunity that I can talk a lot, so I think this might be a place that I can do that.
This is perfect, yeah. So we're talking right now about small businesses and how a small business owner can add value to their clients to compete with big box stores or online software and things like that. In such a way that, we're talking about Pink Friday is today, so this is the day that, we try to support local business rather than give all our money away next week to the big Black Friday sales and all of this. But sometimes that can start to feel like whiny, don't go spend your money at the place that provides more value and cheaper costs and they just have everything you need. Come and spend your money here where it's more expensive and I really don't care about you. How do we, as small business owners, how do we step up and demonstrate that value? And everybody's kind of weighed in already. So what are your thoughts on how can a small business owner provide value to their clients?
And you spend a lot of time with small business.
Yes, I spend a lot of time with small business owners.
What are your thoughts?
Well, something that I do is I try to have the knowledge of knowing when a business owner that I'm working with needs to make a decision or not. An example of that would be a single contractor who he has a personal lines car insurance and he uses his vehicle for work as well. So then there's a thing there where, okay, should I spend the extra money on the commercial policy or should I spend less money and keep my personal policy? Well, that question is different for every single business owner out there. And so it really comes down to, one, me having the conversation with them, and two, them understanding what the differences between the two are. So I think just being able to know that even needs to be a conversation with somebody is somewhere that I can bring value to them. And it's other situations like that where if it's a carpenter, well, there's so many different things that go on inside of a remodel job where it's like, okay, now that I'm actually inside the walls, I see this piping is this certain type of way. That could be something that they could bring up, like, hey, by the way, you have this thing that might need to be paid attention to sometime in the future. and just bringing it up to the client.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that clarifies that at all.
I thought I'd riff a little bit off of that, Chase, because what in my industry, what came up was the idea of getting technical help, with your technology. Something wrong on your computer, where do I go? And there's always that angst around, well, if I take it to the Geek Squad, what am I getting? Or if I need to buy something and I walk in, is the person I'm talking to really knowledgeable, or are they just the new hire?
Yeah.
And they're just going to say, well, this one over here is popular. Whereas working a value you're describing there sounds to me like that expertise, that it's not just somebody working for the corporation, it's somebody who took the effort of saying, I have knowledge that I want to share. I'm going to sit down with you and say, what are you doing with this? How do you want to see it work and adapt?
They're
That's good.
relying on you.
Yeah.
They want you to say, hey, I know some information that you really need in this situation, so I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and especially the way that the insurance market is moving, it's going a lot more towards people being able to self-service. And some of the quotes that I've seen off of these, they're supposed to be AI. I look at the quotes and I go, wow, I'm surprised that this company isn't getting sued.
Huh. Yeah.
So, yeah, well, and even in the tech space too, using your Geek Squad analogy, something like that would be, okay, so your phone screen is cracked and you take it to them, they get you a new phone screen, easy peasy done. But then somebody who's an expert could be like, okay, by the way, when we open up your phone, we're going to be able to see the battery, the motherboard, all of this different stuff. Does your phone need a new battery? Because then it takes out all of the labor, all of the extra fees, all of that extra stuff, and that's literal dollars in your client's pocket. So any way that you could find a situation like that where it's, hey, I know that I'm, one, adding more to your bill, but over the duration of time, you're going to end up saving money by doing this now.
It's bringing value.
For sure. Yeah. And it's intrinsic in all of it is this idea of how do you show up? How do you build a connection with your person? And then how do you innovate? I saw recently, and this was on one of the social medias, so I have no idea the veracity of it or where it particularly came from, but it was what looked like a pretty young Mark Zuckerberg talking about how Facebook came to be when all of these other portals and websites could have created what Facebook was, and in fact they recognized the need for it. And he said it's because they were able to be nimble. And whether you like Mark Zuckerberg, whether you think he's the devil himself, like whatever your thoughts or feelings about, he and his people, they developed this thing that we're live on Facebook right now. Like we're utilizing this thing that they created. And the thing that captured me there is I think very central to what we're talking about here is that Amazon or Costco or Starbucks isn't able to be as nimble as a small business owner can. And so as a small business owner, you're face to face, belly to belly with individuals that need the service you provide or the product that you provide, and you can get that sort of like play it by feel almost, like you just feel, and it's like, oh, there's a pivot coming. I'm in real estate. I can feel things in the market that Zillow can't feel. Zillow does what it does. Zillow is what, and believe me, this conversation about like whiny small business owners, realtors, we are very whiny about Zillow, and there's good reason for that, but there's also like the whiny reasons for it, and it's like, man, like if you just look at big business and say, oh, well, they're stealing all of my ability to do what I do, and you don't innovate, and you don't go out there and bring your value, I think that's a little bit on you. I think that you need to step up a bit.
Following up on that, I mean, you brought up Amazon as an example, and this is a great opportunity for small business owners, because just because you're a small business owner doesn't mean you can't take advantage of the scale of an Amazon. Because what you do is you build a business where you use your expertise, your knowledge to educate, show them what to do, and then you present them with, here's the list of things you need. Just buy them from Amazon, but of course with a affiliate link.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So you generate revenue while getting the benefit of having a large vendor who can deliver at some scale.
Now this gets into a fantastically gray area that I want to either pivot to or not, but I want to throw out here because I've said this to a few people here and there, and this is the biggest audience I've ever shared this with. I have this idea, and like maybe we could collaborate, maybe we could make it a part of the group. But I was thinking, like, what if we created an Amazon but for selling books? For anybody that didn't keep up, that was a joke. Amazon started out by selling books. That was, that's.
So confused.
Come on, Dave. I thought of all people you'd appreciate it. but this treads into a gray area that I kind of wanted to go anyway. And particularly when you think about big box, I mentioned Starbucks. Starbucks is an example of a franchise where actually I think most of the Starbucks that we might go to here in Spokane are owned and operated by Spokane local people that live here, that in a sense, it is a small business. They are a small business owner. Or to use your Geek Squad example, because this is something for me, I know somebody that works at Home Depot as one of their sales reps for the services that Home Depot provides. And I'm often maligned towards Home Depot's services, but here's a guy that understands his craft. He knows what he's doing, and he is representing a big box store, and supporting him supports a local guy. Like the big box stores are run and operated by local people. Yokes is one of the ones that actually is employee owned. Like the employees get a certain share, and there's a whole gray area that we could talk about there as well. But the Amazon, as an individual exploiting Amazon's backbone or framework that they've created, I can have a small business selling things on Amazon, affiliate links. There's a lot of ways.
You can do that without ever touching the inventory.
Indeed. And so it does create an interesting, am I betraying small businesses by selling a good through the Amazon? And certainly there's people that would, in fact, I'm going to throw this out there. If you're watching, comment in, weigh in on this. Because this is a very hot, divided topic. Is like, if you support, not Zuckerberg, what's Amazon, Bezos. If you support Bezos or that juggernaut that is Amazon, you're part of the problem. You're what's killing America. That's one extreme polar, but on the other side, there is this whole ecosystem that they've created that allows for new and innovative small businesses providing value to a client.
Well, you think about it too, because Amazon doesn't have to necessarily take inventory of a ton of product. You can do one-offs, you can do on demand for some of these products, so there's no inventory issues at all. Plus the people who actually created that one-off, probably small business.
Sure.
So I would argue, I think that you're supporting small business if you're pulling inventory from a small business that does that sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's also another advantage here that you talk about trends you're seeing and things, and you brought up Zillow and things. They have all this advantage, but people are, I think, getting overwhelmed by the amount of offers. You put a search in, and you get a dozen of them. And I don't know about anyone else, but if I'm looking for something, I will spend 2 hours going through. Now, I could get this one, or I could get this one over here, and I could do this, but which one do I need? And so I've started thinking around the concept of curated search, which is, really, everybody's competing on Google to be on that first page, because first page gets more clicks than any other listing. And so that little statistic telling you how many millions of results they found in 0.1 seconds is worthless, because you're only going to read the first 10.
Yeah.
But what if you built, as a small business owner, a community of like-minded, your best friends,
Sure.
and you told them, I've done the work for you. I have looked at the options that are out there. I've designed something that saves you time, saves you headaches and things, and here is how it works. You buy this, you do this, you do this, and boom, there's your solution. Now you can go out there and talk to people about the problem they have and how you have a solution, and at the same time you are delivering something of value to them by having built that.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, I like it. All right, so we are getting close. We're now 15 minutes away from being fully into this for an hour. So I want to segue into a wrap-up of sorts. And so first and foremost, I want to invite people to actually show up here in person. We have this conversation every Friday. The characters change, but the conversation is the same. It's how do we support you? How do we help small business owners do better, get better, grow? It's an another interesting gray area, or just rhythm of it is some small businesses, their desire is to stay small, stay local, and not necessarily scale. Others got into this to scale and say, hey, I want to be the next Amazon. I want to be the next Facebook. And I think that it takes all types and all sorts. So we're here. We want you to come join us. But I kind of want to hear from each of you. What we want to hear from the audience is, what do they want us to talk about? But what are the things, what are the questions that you have, or, kind of basically like as a call to action, like talk to the people at home and tell them like what they could put in the comments that would help us shape this better. That question might not make sense, but lost all of you. Fantastic.
No,
I got Rob.
I think I can speak up. So I lead with education first.
Yeah.
My whole service is not to do something for you necessarily. I mean, obviously I have skills, I have things I can do that most of my clients can't. But I have always, for the last 20 plus years, led with the idea that if something were to happen to me, I don't want my customer to end up in a worse spot where they're scrambling, trying to figure out how everything works. So I always lead with education, and so I'm always looking for people who are asking that, what do people need to know about this, so that they have some ownership in it. And those are the kind of questions that we can have roundtable discussions about, is what do I need to know as a business owner about marketing? Or what should I know about, this topic? We may not know an answer, but we can certainly gather that during the week, and then, and then maybe do a little bit of research and say, hey, our favorite sources say these are some of the things that you should know about X, whatever that is.
Perfect. And I think that helps me clarify the question I'm asking for everybody else. So you, with marketing particularly, and even the more intricate digital footprint and all of that,
Systems,
you
right.
would want people to weigh in, like what would be questions that they have for you in what you provide. So I think it may be to us in this room, because we kind of know each other, it goes without saying, but maybe just kind of introduce what you offer. And so like what would be the kinds of questions that they would ask Dave? What would be the kind of questions they would ask you? And go ahead.
I can. I'm sorry, I'm stumbling on my words.
Well, while you think about it, because I was going to jump in,
Yeah.
while you process it, I am in real estate. Real estate is like my bread and butter. I love this. I love networking. I love training business. Like I love all those things, and I think I'm decent at it. But real estate is like my first love. So if you're out there listening, you want to like jump in, like what are your questions about real estate? What are your questions about representation? That would be for me like what I would love to hear. How do people want to interact with real estate? So that's kind of what I'm looking for from each of you guys. Like what is your area that you're like, man, weigh in on questions about this topic?
Okay, well, that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of business owners, we wear a lot of hats, and one of the hats that a lot of them typically wear is, you know, keeping track of their finances and all of that. And so one of the questions I would want you to ask, or to make sure is, are you doing things compliantly? Because that's something I've kind of sifted out and learned. I mean, that's the area of expertise that I have in bookkeeping. You know, making sure that you're following all the rules that you're supposed to follow. And so I would want you to, you know, ask yourself: are you doing things appropriately? You know, are you commingling your funds? Do you have payroll set up if you're an S corp to take those tax advantages? Do you understand your assets and liabilities and your equity accounts? Because all of that matters. You know, all those transactions matter in your business, and if you don't have that knowledge, you should seek it out. And that's an area that I can help, so that you don't end up, you know, with penalties or something negative because you didn't understand it, because it wasn't your area of expertise. Because you went into the business world with something specific, I imagine, to offer somebody something, but it's probably not, you know, you're having systems for your transactions, and so because it's boring. Most people think it's boring, but so ask yourself that: are you doing things correctly? If not, ask some advice for how to do it correctly, or if you potentially need to outsource some of that so you can free up your time.
Nice, love it.
Me?
Sure.
Well, the main thing for me is so what a lot of people don't understand is that the commercial insurance world is not regulated the same way that the personal insurance world is. So the Washington Insurance Commissioner for our state really leaves it on to the insurance agent and the business owner to make sure that their business insurance is set up correctly. So what I would tell people to do is take a look at your business and take a look at your policies and ask yourself, is this really covering what it's supposed to be covering? Because at the end of the day, insurance, when something goes wrong, it should pay out. But if you're not covered correctly, that might not be the case. And the only way to know is by looking at the fine print in the contract. So that's what I would tell people to do. And if that stuff doesn't look like English, because it's kind of not, I will help you read it.
Nice.
So you will help them with understanding what they're not understanding.
Absolutely.
And you do it as a free service?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, if I find something inside of it that makes it not a good policy, I'm pretty sure that they would come to me, and if it is a good policy, I can't even beat it anyways. So there's zero risk to the consumer.
I'm just going to talk briefly about communication, connection, and collaboration, but primarily what we do at Stand Up Mastery is we try to break down everything that you're trying to accomplish. So if I ask a question of who is your avatar, who is the target market, can you answer the question?
Mm-hmm.
Most people really struggle with that, and I used to as well. It's not an easy answer, but there are ways to get to it, and that's if anybody's interested in that, I would love to talk to them.
Perfect.
Because it's once you understand and you have in your head who it is you're going after, then we can eliminate all of those other wastes of time. Nice people over here, but they're not going to really qualify as the avatar that you said that you wanted to go after.
Yeah.
So that's how we fine tune it.
Nice. Awesome. Well, this is a good spot, I think, for us to wrap things up. Once again, we're not going to be here next Friday, so don't show up at...
Go bowling.
Go bowling. If you're not doing anything on Thanksgiving, you're looking for something to do, hit Alex up. He is on the Facebook group. I'll tag you in the comments or something, and they can find you that way. If you're not doing anything on Wednesday, If you come to my place, we'd love to have you. I'll put a link to that in the comments. We will be here the following Friday, which I'm going to look at my calendar to give it a specific date. Go, Rob. The 6th. Man, nailed it. Excellent. So we will be here Friday, December 6th. Wow. December. We are into December. Yeah.
Oh, and I wouldn't be doing my coach any good service if I didn't mention, if you're a business owner in Washington and you haven't filed your BOI, your business ownership, what BOI, business owner. Anyway, it's federal policy. You have to register your business with the federal government as an interest owner. And if you don't, starting January 1st, every day you get penalized something like $500 a day.
Wow.
For not having, it's anti-money laundering law that's coming up, but we have until December 31st to get that done. 15 minutes.
And that's for established businesses. If
Yeah.
you started your business this year.
Yes, if you started this
it's within
year,
90
you-
days. So
yeah.
if you did it very recently, make sure you do that very soon.
Okay. Awesome. Well, gentlemen, thank you for being here. I'm going to end the recording and we can keep chatting. It's a few minutes shy of 1 full hour. Should we BS for 3 more minutes just to make that happen, or should we call it?
I guess I don't know for sure. That's all right. We can
This
rock.
is what do you
Yeah.
call the outtakes at the
Yeah.
end of a movie?
Yeah.
Like,
Can we go back to the Amazon idea that you had for books? I think
yeah,
that's a good-
yeah. Thank you, Dave. I'm glad to hear.
Well, if you want to whine and complain about Zillow, as long as I'm allowed to whine and complain about underwriters, I'm so happy.
Oh yeah. We could definitely spend some time whining and
No,
complaining.
I
We're
want
not-
to complain about insurance companies that just decide to leave the state.
Those,
Wow.
are my, those ones generate me so much business.
Yeah, and they drove me crazy after several years of having my homeowners policy just renew every year. Suddenly they were gone, and I've been going through conniptions to get somebody else who will pick up the policy. So
Which company would it
I don't remember. You know, it was just ones that would cover my house,
be? Yeah.
and some of the big names would not.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Allstate pulled out for all of their commercial stuff.
Wow.
It's been fruitful.
Been busy.
That's the other thing is small business something, I mean, is that a commercial kind of side of real estate that you do?
Sure. Anybody that needs office space or any kind of commercial property, if you're purchasing or leasing, that's real estate. So yeah, that small business. I think a lot of small businesses are able to operate in the home office model, or working out a Starbucks kind of model, co-working space model. So there's a lot of small business that maybe wouldn't need that, but definitely if
It's
you're
interesting how, there's 5 of us sitting here and we all could refer business to each other.
oh yeah, 100%.
It all fits.
Yeah. Which, going back to the appeal to show up in person, if you're not doing anything, Fridays we're here. Come and be a part of the conversation. We'll grow the table as much as we need to.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you guys participating, and
All
everybody that
Where
tunes
are
in.
we? Where are we, by the way?
Oh yeah, Action Business Furniture. Thank you.
Hi guys. Hi guys.
Absolutely love our hosts, Action
Great
Business
people,
Furniture.
great
Yeah.
people. Boy, they have a lot of inventory down here too.
They do, and maybe we'll just move around to different setups each time. But we are now at the top of the hour. I think we're going to sign off. Maybe we need to come up with like a catchphrase
Yeah.
for signing off.
Bazinga.
Bazinga!
There we go. All right. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a good Thanksgiving.
We'll see you 2 weeks.
Everybody.